CCP have introduced a new weekend fleet pack. Get 3 days of Omega access and 50 plex for only $3.75. This weekend pack is brilliant for bringing back players who want to dip in and out as their time allows, but it's also a good opportunity for some cheap passive ISK. Here's just one method. Trigger warning, it involves PI, but don't worry, it isn't a full-on PI guide. I wouldn't do that to you guys, I'm not that evil. To start, you need a character that can do PI to a reasonable level. Command Center upgrades and interplanetary consolidation should be at level 4 at a minimum. Some levels in planetology and advanced planetology are also useful. If you're starting a new account, be sure to use the referral code in the description to get 1 million free skill points, which are more than enough to get a character set up for this. There are a few things you need to know going into this. First, alpha accounts have some restrictions when it comes to PI. They're unable to put down a command center and are unable to launch PI commodities into space. They can, however, edit PI setups on planets that already have a command center on them. Second, there are certain types of P3 component that can be made on a single planet. In the example I'll show you in this video, I'll be using a plasma planet to create robotics, but there are others such as barren planets that can also make P3. I'll leave useful links in the description to detail which planets can make what resource. Your first step will be to find a system with at least 5 planets that can make P3. If you have interplanetary consolidation at level 5, you'll want a system with 6 P3 planets, or a few systems near to each other to make this convenient as possible. I use Hopib as it's a 0.1 security status system, which means I get more yield. The lower the security status, the better. Next, place a command center on each of these planets and upgrade it as high as your skills allow. You need to be Omega for this step, and with the new weekend fleet pack, this is cheaper than ever. Just make sure to get this done during the 3 days of Omega that you get. Now to make P3 you need 2 types of P2, and to make P2 you need 2 types of P1. On our plasma planet we want to make robotics, which means we have 4 different types of P0 to harvest. I use a setup like this, but there's no doubt room to optimize, I'm no expert at PI after all. The basic idea is that you're harvesting P0, converting it to P1, and storing it until your storage container is full. Then move on to the second type of P0. Repeat for all 4 types until you have 4 storage containers full of P1. For robotics, the P1 I need are toxic metals, chiral structures, reactive metals, and precious metals. This bit takes quite a while, months even, but that's okay, you'll be an alpha account by now and it won't be costing you anything. You can probably see where this is going. From here you want to convert your P1 into P2, combine toxic metals and chiral structures to get consumer electronics, combine reactive metals and precious metals to get mechanical parts. Each time we increase the level of resource, the less space it takes up, making it more valuable per meter cubed. So, the final step is to combine our P2 to get P3. You've essentially distilled 4 containers of P1 into half a container of P3, the good stuff. Here's what the final product looks like on the planet I was testing this out on. At this point you have 2 options. You can either repeat the process to top off the P3 container, or buy another weekend fleet pack to get Omega again, which will let you export the P3 to space where you can cash in. If you decide to repeat the process to top off the P3 storage container, be mindful that you won't be able to place as many extraction heads and industry facilities as your P3 cargo will be taking up some of the power grid and CPU of the command center, meaning it will take longer to go through the process again. In my example, after converting one batch of P1 into P3, I have 7,000 meters cubed ready to launch worth 86 million ISK. With 5 planets that's 430 million, with 3 characters that's almost 1.3 billion ISK. Add in the 100 plex for buying the weekend Omega pack twice, that's an additional 450 million, 1.74 billion for a cost of 750. The nearest plex pack you can get for that amount would be 100 plex for 499, for an ISK value of 450 million, and that doesn't come with Omega. I haven't taken into account export taxes, but you can see it's not a bad passive earner if you can stand doing PI. I can't, so my P3 will remain planet side, where I've left it untouched for months. I tried to keep this brief, hopefully you get the idea. If you've made it to the end of a video about PI, well done. Leave a comment below with your in-game name for a chance to win this Buzzard Scope syndication skin. That's all for this time, cheers.